Anyway, do you like creepy atmospheric puzzle games that let you control reanimated corpses? Well, you should, because today I'll be reviewing a little game by Playdead Studios that I very much consider to be a modern day masterpiece. A little game called Inside. Inside is a 2D platformer with heavy emphasis on puzzle solving. Its closest relatives would have to either be Limbo, which makes sense because it was made by the same studio, or the more modern title, Little Nightmares, which happens to be a personal favorite of mine. Although this game can't quite be classified as horror, it still manages to scratch some of the same itches, because while playing it, you can never quite shake that eerie feeling that something incredibly wrong and unsettling is unfolding around you. And personally, I find that kind of atmosphere incredibly enticing. It's like you're putting yourself inside of a modern mystery where you actually interact with the world, you know? It's just so much fun. Anyway, let's get started so I can tell you how much I freaking loved this game. From the very moment you begin until the very end of the roughly 3-hour campaign, you can't help but appreciate the ridiculously clean aesthetic. Seriously, it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. Essentially, it's three-dimensional polygons pasted into a two-dimensional game, and although this has been done before, it's never been done to this degree of smashing success. People lack faces, objects have only smooth surfaces, and pretty much all detail has been hammered out of the world, including the color, which is mostly shades of gray. But for some reason, this only makes it feel sleek and unique, instead of bland or uninteresting. Mostly because of the masterful animations, which I promise you do not disappoint. There are a lot of them, and they're always fun to see. The sounds of Inside are also equally fantastic. Splashing water, taser guns, and especially the footsteps of your own character all sound top-notch. Although the game is devoid of any music, this manages to feel like an intentional choice rather than a missing piece. Instead, because of the lack of a soundtrack, you find yourself hyper-aware of noises such as dogs barking and your own footsteps. Overall, the sound effects are great, and I have absolutely no complaints with them. The story. There are no cutscenes or even dialogue to speak of in this game. Instead, Inside chooses to tell its story by simply letting you play the game. The creepy atmosphere comes through loud and clear as you solve each and every puzzle. It is clear, however, from the very start that you're being hunted by some sort of government agency, but the why, the where, the who, and all of the other questions surrounding this remain largely unanswered. You, of course, will discover clues, but no concrete story is ever spelled out for the player. The last thing I want to say about the narrative is that the last 15 or maybe 20 minutes or so are genuinely shocking. You will not see this twist coming. You just won't. It genuinely surprised me. And to say anything else would spoil it. So play the game and see for yourself, I guess. The gameplay. Inside is primarily a puzzle game masquerading as a 2D platformer. Sure, you have to hop on a box, or even jump over the occasional gap, but the puzzles are your main way of interacting with the world. Since there's such heavy emphasis on the puzzles, I'm happy to report that they are all varied and fun to figure out. Somehow Inside manages to strike a happy balance where the puzzles are neither immediately obvious, nor are they so difficult that you'll ever find yourself stuck for more than a few minutes. And as somebody who isn't primarily a puzzle gamer, I really appreciated this moderate level of difficulty. And common sense is all you really need to keep forging ahead. And for me, that was perfect. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty great without being overly challenging. It's exactly the right level of difficulty, is what I'm getting at here. So my final verdict. Positive. Creepy world design. Positive. Fantastic clean visuals. Positive. Perfect level of difficulty. Positive. Shocking and unexpected ending. Negative. Too short. Can be completed in under 3 hours if you're trying. Negative. Some puzzles are trial and error, and being forced to die can feel a bit unfair. Inside drops you into a beautiful yet disturbing world where you are relentlessly hunted without explanation. You'll discover mindless drones, dead bodies, bloodthirsty dogs, and many other unsettling things. But above all else, you'll find a really fun game full of interesting puzzle challenges that will constantly drive you forward in hopes of shedding some light on the world's mystery. Overall, Inside is a top-notch game that deserves all the praise it's received and then some. That's why I'm giving this game a final score of 9 out of 10.